Hello everyone and welcome to the Good Old Gamer. So the RTX 3060 launch came, and then a few milliseconds later, they went. And that wasn't to be unexpected. However, what I found most interesting about yesterday's 3060 launch was actually from the reviewers out there. It seemed everybody didn't really have a very positive opinion about the performance of the RTX 3060. However, all of the reviews seem to skirt around that particular issue, pointing out the few highlights that there were about the card, or just making up some really strange comparisons. So it looks like Nvidia's stranglehold on the reviewer community is getting even stronger here today. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. But first, today's video is sponsored by Opera GX, the world's first web browser specifically designed with PC gamers in mind. One of the biggest features to Opera GX is its GX Control. GX Control is to enhance performance while gaming on your PC. It helps you get rid of lag while playing games and listening to music, and is perfect for you guys out there that like to have a bunch of tabs open while you're gaming, where you can go ahead and monitor and even curtail the performance that the Opera browser uses, leaving more performance for your games. You can do this by monitoring your CPU and RAM usage in the browser. Network limiter, limit the network bandwidth used by Opera GX, so this way you have maximum performance for your games and streams, all controlled seamlessly by a push of a button. Another big feature is the GX Corner. Stay up to date with free games. Opera actually goes out and searches the internet for the best deals out there. The newest and latest releases, breaking game news, all in one easy accessible place. Opera GX also offers Twitch and Discord integration. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of Twitch, but I'm sure many of you guys are. There's just a little button there on the left-hand side, and poof, you can see all of your creators going live just from your main tab browser. As my Patreon members know, I use Discord constantly, so I'm always on there, so this is a huge and handy feature for me personally, as I'm always checking Discord and browsing the internet at the same time. While Opera GX offers a really good standard design feature with some bright neon lights and dark theme backgrounds on pretty much all websites, you can also customize the browser to have special themes, wallpapers, and colors, whatever you like to fit your own needs. With all these cool gaming features in one centralized location, Opera GX is definitely worth checking out. Links are in the description and pinned comment below, so check it out. It's absolutely free. It's an awesome browser. I've just started using it for this campaign, and honestly, I may switch over to this as my primary web browser. So once again, links are in the description and pinned comment down below. If you want to let me know down in the comment section how you like the browser, if you tried it out, that'd be really awesome. I'd love to hear your feedback on that. Now back to the video. So I want to start talking about the performance of the 3060. We're just going to get that out of the way. I went to Tech Power Up starting off with. Normally I'll go to TechSpot with Steve Walton's videos or reviews or whatever, but he's on vacation right now. So Tech Power Up and Guru 3D are my number 2 and 3 choices for getting this type of information. Now Tech Power Up does a bunch of games, a pretty sizable amount, and then goes ahead and puts together an aggregate. If we take a look at the performance here, it's a little bit better than what I talked about in my previous video with the 3D Mark synthetic leaks. We're looking at basically a 2070 level card. Nothing too crazy, a little bit faster than what we were seeing, but still about 10 to 15% slower than an RTX 2070 Super, which was kind of the level that we were all hoping this card would be at. Guru 3D did back up the 3D Mark synthetic scores that we got from the video cards leak the other day, showing that the 3060 actually does lose in 3D Mark compared to the 2060 Super. In actual gameplay, it's just a little bit faster. But speaking of Guru 3D, I went to their conclusion. I wanted to see what Hilbert's opinion was on the RTX 3060. And he found a very interesting way to not talk about the 3060 in a 3060 review. Now, like Tech Power Up, Guru 3D had a bunch of different models that they tested, so instead of talking about how bad the 3060 actually is and how it performs relative to its predecessors, the 2060 and 2060 Super, he instead talked about the fact that, well, the EVGA card that he tested was pretty good. So this was a nice little way to skirt around the fact that the 3060 itself is highly unimpressive here in 2021. I next went over to Gamers Nexus. I wanted to see Steve Burke's opinion on the situation. And in his conclusion, he came up with, well, it's around 2070 Super performance in ray tracing, which we've talked about in the past, really isn't that big of a deal right now, as most games that use it, it doesn't matter. And realistically, the performance on these cards just isn't good enough to deliver real-time path tracing, which is what we all hope to see. So it's basically irrelevant. So he found a positive on this card and made sure to hit that a couple of times. But overall, his message was it's a meh card, which here in 2021, with all the mining boom and all that stuff going on, meh, I suppose, is probably a fair assessment. However, under normal circumstances, a 10 to 12% gain generation over generation at basically the same price point would be considered terrible. So Steve did a good job of kind of trying to balance this out, and it was when I watched his conclusion that I realized there's something going on here. Why isn't Steve just coming out saying this is not good enough? A 10 to 12% gain gen over gen is not good enough. Never has been. 20% is basically bare minimum you should ever expect generation over generation for dollar. And this time around, we're getting much less than that. 30% is basically where most people are like, yeah, that's fine. That's a normal upgrade. Ironically enough, a 2070 Super would be about 25 to 30% faster than a RTX 2060. So that's the reason why we all thought that's where this performance would be. Now, things got really bad when I checked out Linus's video, and that's really the catalyst for me doing this video right here. I personally have nothing against any of these people. I enjoy watching Linus's videos, believe he's very entertaining, but when it comes to actual product reviews in GPUs, not so good, Linus, I'm sorry. Now, the games that he only tested like 4 or 5 games, and most of them are pretty much irrelevant. The big games they tested were like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which really doesn't matter anymore. Microsoft Flight Simulator, that has some players out there, but the majority of you guys, it doesn't really have any relevance. It's a DirectX 11 title, for goodness sakes. Really doesn't matter here in 2021. CSGO, I mean, come on. The big thing that Linus did that did kind of tick me off was compare the RTX 3060 to the GTX 1060. This is not a replacement for the GTX 1060. Linus even admits it at the beginning of the video, but kind of just ignores that part by explaining a 329 graphics card today does not make an upgrade for a 249 graphics card from 2016. Once again, he basically ignores that because Steam shows about 10% of the gaming community is still using a GTX 1060. And while true, many gamers are looking for an upgrade from their 1060, this is not the one-to-one upgrade, as Linus explains in his own video, but he keeps harping it home that the 1060 is so much slower than the RTX 3060. Meanwhile, the real predecessor to this is the RTX 2060, which he also admits in the same video there's no point in upgrading from that card to the 3060. So why doesn't he bash the card over the head saying this isn't good enough? That is a real question. My guess is the shot that Nvidia took at Hardware Unboxed back in December. If you guys are unfamiliar, I'll put a link to the video that I did in the description below. But basically, because they didn't do what Nvidia wanted, Nvidia decided they were going to stop sampling them. Basically, say what we want or we're going to stop sampling you. And while the community, we were successful, even Linus got on board saying that's not okay. It looks like the message was clear to these guys. Like Steve Burke basically harping on RTX performance, which is largely irrelevant at this point in time. That's something that Nvidia wants in their reviews. Linus comparing the 1060 to the 3060, which makes no sense. He should have just done the 960. That's even better value. Or the GTX 660 compared to the 3060. That's an even better value. I mean, you could just keep going back if you want to just make arbitrary comparisons here. Compared to, the GeForce 2, the RTX 3060 is a deal. I mean, you could do this forever, and it doesn't make any sense. But the 1060 to 3060 comparison is what Nvidia themselves were making. So it really makes you go, I'm thinking that it's very clear that reviewers are now under the understanding that basically you play ball with Nvidia or you're out. Or they're just gonna make your life a living hell, one of the two. And it's a real shame because I've said it many times, AMD's yeah, they make graphics cards, but they're not really a player in the graphics card market. We really only have one real discrete gaming graphics card manufacturer, and that's Nvidia. We can see when Nvidia can't meet demand, the whole market suffers way worse than if AMD can't meet demand. And then when they both can't meet demand, well, we get what we have now, which is just terrible. So Nvidia is clearly number one. They're the main player in the graphics card market. And a lot of these companies, you know, these businesses, these YouTube channels, they are businesses. They are companies, just like this one is, except it's sole proprietorship. But regardless, you know, they rely heavily on the revenue. They rely on the samples. They rely on the views and the contacts and all of these things that Nvidia has their fingers into. And it just means to me that at this point in time, you guys have to be your own reviewers. You have to take the data, the just unbiased data, and hopefully it's unbiased. You can't even prove that unless you do it yourself. But just look at the data and form your own conclusions. You cannot take the opinions of reviewers into account anymore when making your decisions on what to buy. Because like I said, some of these guys, they don't use a large sample size of games. And are the games that they chose relevant? Do they make sense to you? Or are they made to make a product look good? You don't know that. Some outlets, like I said, Guru 3D, Tech Power Up, and usually Hub Steve, he usually does a bunch of games, at least like 12 or something, to give you a decent idea of what the performance looks like on these things, and then comes up with an aggregate. Websites like that make the most sense when formulating your opinions. The YouTube sort of entertainment community, the influencers out there that are looking to influence you to buy product X regardless of performance or price, unless it's a complete piece of crap that they simply can't recommend anybody ever use, it's going to get meh at worst. That's basically where we're at. Unless Nvidia comes out with a card that'll literally catch on fire and burn your house down, and even then, it still might get meh from some of these guys. But as long as it works and it doesn't deliver worse performance per dollar than the previous generation, these guys have basically said they are going to endorse it at this point in time, or just skirt around the issue. So taking their opinions seriously, you can't do that anymore. You can look for independent creators like me. I'll give you my opinion. Getting 10 to 12% faster than an RTX 3060 for 10% higher price is not good. You get more VRAM, that part's good, so it's slightly better, but realistically, anything less than 2070 Super at $350-ish makes no sense here in 2021. So for me, it's no good, but that's just my opinion. Go look at those charts yourself. Go look at the aggregate. Do you believe that it's worth it to you? If you are a 1060 owner, this really isn't an upgrade for you unless you're looking to go to a higher price tier. And if you're looking to go to a higher price tier, guess what they're going to do next time? Try to get you into an even higher price tier. Most people that bought 2060s and 2060 Supers, they're being pushed up to the 3060 Ti, which is the $400 to $500 price point when they're at or near MSRP. These cards right now at $329, they didn't really sell for that. They really sold between $400 and $500 yesterday for that nanosecond that they were available. But people paid it. And that's just how nuts the world is right now. But under normal circumstances, this card would not be worth the money. AMD is going to be coming out with the 6700 and 6700 XT here over the next couple of months. Hopefully, they understand that they have to deliver better performance at the same price. Otherwise, nobody's going to care. But with the prices people are paying on these cards, it also tells AMD that they could charge more money for their cards as well. So hopefully, they keep it under control a little bit, but let's be realistic. AMD only controls about 20% of the DGPU market. They're not going to have enough supply to meet demand because Nvidia doesn't have enough supply to meet demand. So the market itself is still going to be screwed for a while, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about the fact that it's very clear Nvidia is in control of reviews and they're influencing them in one way, shape, or form, either via threats or the threat of a threat by taking shots at certain reviewers. Because you're not getting the fact that this card is crap from people that should be telling you that this is not good enough from Nvidia. And if we're being honest, most people out there looking at these reviews, they just want to hear that it's not awful, so this way it's okay for them to go buy it. So if reviewers like GN Steve and Linus and Jay and those guys, as long as they don't say that this is a terrible product and nobody should buy it, people are going to buy it. Like, they could be like, it's meh, it's okay, I wouldn't get it. You know, even things like that, people are still going to buy it. They literally have to come out and say, this is unacceptable. This is not good enough. The performance per dollar increase this time around is non-existent. It's just a terrible product at a terrible price. At $250, this would be a hell of a deal. But it's not $250 or $280. It's $329. That's the MSRP. And like I said, they're selling for $400 to $500. So yeah, not worth it, guys. The best thing that you could do is not buy GPUs in this market. Best thing to do is find another hobby until 2022. That's really the best solution that I can give you. Or find something super cheap on the secondhand market and just make do. Play older games. Do something like that. That lets these companies know that you're not going to stand for this. But as time goes on, prices are going to continue to go up, and these influencers are going to continue to push you into higher and higher tiers, explaining to you that it's okay that it costs more money than it should and deliver less performance than it should, and you're just supposed to buy it anyway. Anyways, this got a little more ranty than I was anticipating. I'm just a little upset that there's no pushback. No major reviewer said that this is unacceptable, because it is. If AMD came out with a GPU that costs the same amount and is only 10% faster, people would be ripping them a new one saying it's not good enough. This isn't good enough. It's not a 1060 replacement. It's a 2060 replacement. Whatever the $250 to $280 card Nvidia comes out with, that might be a 1060-ish replacement. But realistically, it's a 1660 Ti replacement at that point. So even then, that argument doesn't hold water either. Because last generation with Turing, the 1650 Super was basically on par with the 1066 gig. And that's a $160 card. So you're comparing an upgrade from a $160 card to a $329 card. You're doubling the price, and you're saying it's good for people. It's not. It doesn't make sense, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Are you over the nonsense out there? Or do you think that these guys are just being way too kind because they don't have any other options? It's not like AMD is going to come into the market, take over the GPU market, and, you know, actually be fair with everybody. They're going to pull the same shenanigans too. So do you think it makes sense for them to basically just fluff up NVIDIA graphics cards? Do you believe the BS that these guys are selling? Because right now it is BS. I can't trust their reviews. I can trust the data to a certain extent, but their opinions, I can no longer trust at all. And you shouldn't either. But I want to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. Once again, if you like videos like this, please smash that like button. Please subscribe. Please share with friends. Share this one around. There's a lot of people out there probably looking to get 3060s, not understanding that they should just try to get an RTX 2060 because it's basically the same performance, 10% less. Who cares? But they should be able to get those significantly cheaper if they could find them on the secondhand market. As these cards are going to be overly inflated due to their extra mining capabilities, which, according to Paul over at Not an Apple Fan, seems like they've already bypassed the Nvidia anti-mining cheat thing. So, yeah. Anyways, want to hear your thoughts, comment section, but that's really all I have for you guys here today, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.